Welcome back to another reaction for Witch Hat Atelier episode 10.
君は観察力が鋭いんだね。物事をよく見てるのかな。
この前の強い光、キーフリーさんなら何か。キーフリーさん、俺あなたに聞きたいことがあるんです。
Dangerous?
それは
He did erase one person's memory, so there's a chance that he's going to do that to the boy as well.
嬉しいな。僕でよければ何でも聞いてくれ。魔法についての質問なら大歓迎だよ。さあタータ君、何が知りたい？
そういう質問じゃないって言いにくい。キラキラしてて言いにくい。
先ほどの方、どうぞ中へ。
I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, interesting that we have to go to more or less hospital, church, whatever, instead of using healing magic, but healing magic is forbidden. So it's a little bit weird, but
疲労と
it's
睡
a
眠
taboo.
不足から来る風邪ですね。しばらくの間眠れてなかったようです。睡眠と栄養をちゃんととれば大丈夫。今夜は念のためこちらで休ませましょう。
ありがとうございます。
まったく。魔法使いがどのような厳しい修行を積むのか知りませんが、まだ子供ですよ。周りの大人がちゃんと気にかけてあげてくださいね。
I mean, not wrong. Definitely not wrong.
その通りだ。ごめんね、ここ。
Different signs, some sigils. Aren't those 3 sigils? Are you not supposed to only have 1 sigil?
.これで少しは楽になるといいけど。
What did you do? Huh? What exactly did you do?
これで少しは楽になるといいけど。
きついなら倒れるまで無理することないのに。
体も心も行動も自分の思い通りにならない時はあるよ。ここは最近まで魔法使いの何もかも知らなかったんだ。明るく振る舞っていても内心不安でいっぱいだったんだろ
う。知らなかった。噂の知らざる者。まさかこいつが。
タータ君、何か僕に聞きたいことがあるようだったけど、また今度でいいかな。やっぱり今はちょっと。
I mean, you can't really do much, can you? You can just stay by her side, maybe change a little, you know, give her fresh water, maybe soup, but you can't really do much. You can't use magic to heal her. You seem to be able to use magic to reduce her body heat somehow. I have no idea how that worked and how exactly the interaction is. Seemingly it did not, because you didn't cast it on a body, it doesn't count as breaking the rules, maybe? But yeah, other than that, you can't really do much.
わかりました。気にしないでください。 じゃあ俺帰ります。
ありがとう。気をつけて。
So we have to go back and get the clothing.
あの時一瞬凍るような視線を感じた気がしたんだけど、俺の勘違いだったのかな。
ダメダメ、この船は魔法使いしか乗れないよ。あの島のものならとんがり帽子はどうした？魔法使いの証を持たない者は通せない
That
よ。
is
あり
why.
ますここに。
The promise in silver, huh? So, okay, now it makes even more sense that we have to go back.
ますここに。
Also, you are not a witch, but you do have a pointed cap. Doesn't that mean you are a witch? You are just not being trained as a witch. But you have a position as somewhat of a witch?
あれない。俺今朝も渡って。
知るか！そうやって潜り込もうとするクソガキはたくさんいるんだ。
He's just doing his job. He's like, give me your ID or you can't go across the water. It makes sense.
あ！ほら、当たれ！
帽子がないと帰れない。見つけなきゃ。
呼吸も落ち着いてきましたね。このまま寝ていれば回復すると思います。
よかった。
それにしてもこの辺りだけ空気がひんやりしていて心地いい。
Oh, so he made the room cool. Okay. I'm still wondering the castings. Right? Casting seal? He used, I feel like, had 3 sigils. It looked like one was water, maybe 2 water, 1 wind. I assumed you only are allowed to have 1 sigil, but maybe
魔
not.
法はすごいですね。
It may
お医
also
者
be a
様も
mistake.
すごいですよ。魔法で病気は治せないので、これくらいしか。
しかし回復の助けにはなるでしょ。我々にも使えたらよかったのですが。
The worst part is that they could have this in their toolbox. But because of the rules, then we are not allowed to share that. Because they could just get a piece of, I don't remember what it was called, but one of the round pieces of paper, just activated by finishing the line, and bam, they would have a cool room, which would help in some cases.
そうですね。
Is that room the building burning?
お医者さんいるかい？
I assume there would be a doctor in the doctor's house.
北の酒場でぼや騒ぎだ。怪我人を助けようにも酔っ払いだらけで動かせねえもんって。あんた魔法使い、それに水使いか。ちょうどいい。あんたも来て消火を手伝ってくれ。魔法使いは困ってる市民の味方だろう。
ちょっと、ダメですよ。ここを離れ。
First off, you can. Second, you don't need to stay here. Third, sure, you don't like water, but you are still a good water mage. So now I would say this is not really how you ask for favor, but he's also most likely a typical worker. This probably is how you ask other people for stuff.
るわけには。
大丈夫ですよ。言ってあげてください。魔法使いのお仕事ですから。
I mean, if you can rescue one more person, I would not be okay with knowing I could have saved someone and that someone now is dead just because I didn't. Again, you can't do much here. You can't help.
すぐ戻るからゆっくり休んでるんだよ。それでは向かいましょう。
ありがとうございます。
被害はどれくらいですか？
出た時はまだ火が小さかったが、急がねえとどうだか。
強がっちゃった。本当は一人になるのちょっと怖い。
I
散々
mean,
探したけどどこにもなかった。
it sucks, but there are people's lives at stake. So it's not for the whole night, hopefully. So it's just an hour or two.
あとはここくらいしか。失礼します。
I do find it interesting that in these cases they always sneak in, but they always say excuse me. So if they get caught, they're like, I did announce myself. You just didn't hear me. Ooh. I was wondering if we get to see the world out of his viewpoint. Some of the flashbacks had a different coloring. I don't know if that was because the flashback, to differentiate the real time stuff with the flashback, or if that was out of his viewpoint. There was more color than I was expecting, so I assume it was not his viewpoint. But this is.
よかった。これで帰れる。
Everything is silvery? Or
うなされてる？おい、あんた大丈夫か？
タタくん。びっくりしたよ。どうして
平気か？さっきよりきつそうだな。誰かいないのか？お医者様がいないはずないだろう。キーフリーさんは？
先生たちは北で火事があって。
だからさっき人が外に。どうしよう、いつ戻るんだ？呼びに行った方がいいかも。とりあえず何か熱冷ましの薬を飲んだ方がいい。いたわりそう覚えてるか？この間のやつ。あれ熱とか咳止めに効くんだ。きっと手の届くところに。ラベルがない。嘘だろ？薬はラベルつけとけよ。
interesting. So everything is silvery or gray. I definitely can see how it is going to be difficult if you need to work around herbs and stuff. You need to differentiate some of the colors. Now you could smell, and maybe that is going to help you. However, it should not really interfere with drawing casting seals. Right?
嘘だろ？薬はラベルつけとけよ。間違えたらやばいだろ。どうして？ちょっとずつ濃さが違う気がする。他の人は色が違うから判別できるのか。
Which is interesting. This is one of those interesting empathy parts. It is really hard to understand how colors work. Because for me, it is somewhat easy to see because we have an option, as is in the anime, to see what it would look like if everything was in like a grayscale. However, it is really hard for someone who doesn't, like him, has never seen color to understand what color really means. Well, what is an orange color? What is red? What is green? What is blue? Is for him, he said, oh, this color is a little bit darker than this color, but they are vastly different for someone who can see the color. Now, this concept is a lot easier to grasp for people who only have like a specific color blindness, like red, green, I believe it was one of them, because they do have the other colors. So it is interesting, which brings me to another point. Just we don't really have a way to check if when I see red, that you see the same red. Or maybe some of your colors is flipped. Instead of red, you see what I would consider blue. But for you, it's red. Because we don't really have a way to compare these colors. Which is just interesting concept.
またこれだよ。みんながみんな同じ世界を見てて当たり前だと思ってるんだから。
銀ダ症じゃ染め粉を使った複雑な魔法は無理だな。
Complex space with magic dyes. Okay. So I did wonder whenever we got the different colors introduced, if you can have like different parts of this casting seal with different magic dyes. So you have different effects combining. And it seems like we are going to have that. Because if you only have the spell with one specific color, he can do that. He can have specific vials for different colors or different effects. That is not a problem. I mean, in general, he can also do complex spells, right? Because he could have his vials, he can just have labels on them. Now, there doesn't seem to be a way to put the labels on the vial itself with like something that glues onto that, or you put them into the glass itself. No, they seem to only have like paper labels that they put around the vials, so maybe not as feasible, but you can have different style of vials. We saw whenever Coco got her ink vial, they had all different tops. And you can do the same maybe with instead of all being round, one is similar to the medicine, another one could be a cube. And you could decide which one of these is for what kind of magic dice. This should not be a problem.
マザイアとしても半人前にしかなるまいよ。
子供のうちはよくてもね。
ペン削りが上手で助かったな。
人にはできることとできないことがあるんだから、できることだけやればいいのさ。
くそ。マゾメの材料には薬草もよく使われる。種類さえ分かれば効果も全部覚えてるのに。
Now I would assume that because he's working with his dad, grandfather, whatever, that instead of relying on colors, he is more relying on smell. Because they should smell differently. Now, I don't know if you can reset your smell as easily as you can with your eyes. If you have like 100 things, you smell them one after another. Can you differentiate later on what they smell like? I don't really know. But again, I feel like he should be able to goes that way.
肝心な時に何もできない。すべてが銀色のこの世界では可能性だって見えやしないんだ。
Also interesting, isn't the tree silver? I feel like there's more behind his eyesight. There's something else going on, I feel like. It's a little bit too coincidental. First, maybe we can fix his eyesight somehow, maybe with some special glasses as example. Or maybe because he sees everything in silver, he can do something that other people can't. Maybe he sees stuff that other people can't. Again, because the tree was silver, it feels like these two things are related. And the silver tree is very ingrained in witchcraft. I'm just wondering, maybe... I don't believe so. The magic system here seems very logical. I was just wondering, maybe the ink doesn't really change the effect. What type, what color ink you use, but what you perceive the ink to be, what color. But I guess it wouldn't make sense. But still, I'm pretty sure there's more to his eyesight than we are led to believe at the moment. It is going to be important. I do like that we see it out of his viewpoint, how he sees the world. It is a very nice contrast, literally.
悪い俺、役立たずで苦しいのはあんたの方だよな。そうだ、水分。水飲むだろ。ほら、これ。あ
りがと
う。浮き水滴。そういやこれってじいちゃんが魔木を作るときにいつも使ってる。そうか。これなら液体と薬を分離できる。
Channel out the liquid from the medicine. Okay.
分離できる。
So how
薬
we...
を溶かしている水。
Oh. What? I extract the water it's been dissolved
そう取り
in.
除けば混ざってるものがわかるかも。いたわり草は粉末薬だ。乾燥させてすりつぶす。
Okay.
だから粉状のものを探せば。
Okay, I see. Okay, now it makes sense. I was like, a million things in my head. I was like, okay, you extract all the water. Now you are analyzing the water, but you are combining all the water, so you can't analyze it anymore. So what are you going... So he's removing the humidity, the water content, and it reverts to its original non-dissolved version. Now, the idea, okay. However, this is probably not the only medicine that has to be crushed to be dissolved in water. So, sure, you can narrow it down, which also explains why he may not be able to smell it. If it's dissolved in water, it may not have the same smell anymore.
結晶化するやつは
Oh,
違う。
okay.
月明かりに透かして発光するやつも
I mean, the thing that is literally
発
liquid.
光するやつも液
Now, here's a big important part. If you check every vial. Don't check until you get the one you believe is the medicine and use it. You don't know if there are multiple medicines that, again, need to be crushed.
体が減るだけのやつも違う。 匂いはそんなに特徴がないからきついのは外
It doesn't have a distinct smell. Okay. However, so I can rule out the pungent ones. This is also something that I feel like is not done enough. I like playing MOBAs, and it's always like in a MOBA you have vision where the enemy is. But what people don't use is if you have vision on specific spots and you don't see enemies, that is also information because you know where the enemy is not. Therefore, you can more or less assume they are somewhere differently. And then the question is just where would you be if you are not on these spots? So he's doing the same idea. It doesn't have a smell, so if the material you open up has a big smell, this is not going to be the medicine.
として
I mean, not that you need to smell a lot of them. We have like crystals, we have liquids. So there are probably not that many that need to be crushed.
これであとあと3本
Okay.
くそここまではできたのにここまで
Again, so crushed medicine, no smell. He's doing a good job already. Now the question is, what can we do now? The problem is we don't really have a good comparison. Because what you could do, you could put water back in, see which has a darker shade, which has a lighter shade, but you need the comparison from before. There's probably something else you can use to identify some information about them. Maybe some of them burn, maybe some don't.
ここまではここまでかごめんここ頑張ったんだけど俺にはやっぱり無理みたいだどうして何かできるって思っちゃったんだろう俺にはできないって分かってたはずなのに
I mean, it's clear he's going to make it. He's going to choose the right one.
そんなことないよ。できないことをできるようにするために助けてくれるのが魔法だよ。
You should lie down.
魔木とペンある。
持ってるまだ掘りかけのやつが
Is that the pen she's going to get? No. That is not the pen from the OP. Also, what kind of casting sphere are you going for?
大丈夫か
Also, I feel like it would be really hard in when you are sick, you are feverish, you are exhausted to then make a good casting here. Again, these are very reliant on good penmanship. You can't make the signs too big, too small. The sigil has to be a specific size. So, and it needs to be clean. That why being sick? I don't know.
魔法を書いてるんだそれを使えば
Is
あ
it
ん
the
たは
one
楽になるのか
Ifri had?
私
Okay, could be the one that Keyfree made, or sorry, could be the fireworks one.
じゃない。私だけじゃない。タータ君と私、二人とも助けてくれる魔法だよ。
俺も 俺のことも助けてくれる魔法って
I have no idea.
一体どんな魔法なんだ？
これは大地の門。トンネルを作ったり、岩を崩して砂にしたり。
The only spell we know that uses the Earth Sigil is the one that made the comfy bed,
何度も助けてくれた魔法なの。
as far as I remember.
どうしてそれを今？
矢が変われば魔法も変わる。破砕の矢。
Okay. We get more signs. I drew the signs of crushing in the inverse of their usual position. Okay.
矢をいつもと逆さまに書くの。
Okay, so it is instead of an M, you do W. Gotcha. It's usually a spell for turning solid things into powder. So you turn powder into solid things. I see. So what you want to do is turn the crushed herbs back into their original parts?
本来は形を粉々にできる魔法だから。
その逆さまは砂状のものに形を与える魔法になる。
だからタータくんなら、本当の形をたくさん知ってるタータくんなら、覚えたことのすべてから答えを導いてくれるはず。
What? You crushed a cloud?
あれ、
Or is that cotton candy?
弱ってると本当ダメだね。ヘロンヘロンでブレブレ。
なあ、これ。
So it didn't work correctly, did it? Does it mean you destroyed the
こ
earth?
れ同じ形で綺麗に描けばいいんだよな。
できればもっとバランスよく。
描くのはともかくバランスを見るのは得意だ。いつも似たことやってるから。なあ、この矢なんだけど、上と下だけじゃなくて右と左にも描いていいか？立体はさ、いろんな角度から作り込まなきゃいけないんだ。このままだと漏れがあって、その部分の形成が甘くなるんだと思う。だから、ごめん、あんたの魔法勝手に変えて。
いいの。基礎魔法だし。それにタータくんの工夫で結果を変えたら、それはもうタータくんの魔法だよ。試してみて。
Again, I feel like there's nothing stopping him to at least do basic stuff. Basic magic. Now, we don't know how important magic ink is going to be, how bad his eyesight would hinder him. However, Kifrey did mention that the biggest problem witches have, or which the society, is that they are unwilling to accommodate people that are different.
やってみる。
But I don't see why this would be a problem for him. His eyesight is good. He's just unable to see colors. Okay, so we have a bunch of them. We don't have the T's anymore. I forgot what those are for. I believe levitating? But you don't need those if you don't want to levitate stuff, right?
できた。できた。一瞬だけどできた。できたよ俺。やった。ごめん。薬だよな。
So, why did it turn back? All the other magics is permanent. Is it permanent? It's not. No, it is. Some of it. I don't know. But why did this one turn back? Right? I feel like this doesn't really make sense. We were able to remove the water, which it didn't really change the item or the stuff. Now here we have the powder and we turn it back into the plant. However, I assume what is happening is just that the powder is taking. It is just forming like a plant, but it is not reverting. It's still powder in the form of the plant. And as soon as you remove the vial from the sigil, the powder turns back into the non-plant form. But it can't reverse the destruction of the powder, which means similarly to the sand, we can't really turn the sand back into earth and rocks, but we could put it into the form of a rock, which we did with the form of the bridge. Okay, I see. So this doesn't really uncrush things. It just takes the powdered form and puts them into the form of what it was before. And if it can't support itself in that form, then it's still powder. Okay.
たぶねえ。これ全部いたわりそうじゃなかったのか。この中にあると思い込んでた。よし。俺、この魔法で薬草室を探してくるよ。この魔法なら見つけられる。
Imagine you come back as a doctor and you're like, oh, we have a whole storeroom prepared with medicine. We just take the vial and bam, we can administer it. And now you find out that all your vials have the water removed. And now you have to add water to everything. And some of them... That is going to be interesting. Because this sigil just uncrushes stuff. Does it? It doesn't. It just forms what the item was before it was crushed. So none of the items would turn back into like the plant. Okay.
ちょっとだけうちみたいだ。トゲの木、風車花、海いばら。
Oh, okay. So this is similar to like Apothecary Diaries, where you have all of these compartments that have the powder inside a little paper package. And normally you would take the powder out, you would add it to a vial, add some water, and bam. Potion done.
眠り柳にアメバチの巣。知ってる。どの形も 本で覚えたやつと同じだ。すごい。
Now again, these I assume are powdered forms that are inside there. What he would need is some kind of magic that does it without having to get the powder out. So he can just use one of the potions, put it over there in the potion form, and it shows him some kind of illusion of what it looked like.
魔法陣をかざすたび世界に焦点が合っていくみたいだ。覚えたことのすべてが俺に答えを教えてくれる。できるようになることが増えるのはこんなにも。見つけた。
Now, first off, he's a witch. This is fine. They are not on the witch island. He cannot show this to anyone. I am assuming all the healer in here, he can't show them as well. Secondly, you do see how the powder falls back into the container. So the powder just formed what it was before, but it was still the powder one.
いたわりそうはこれだ。早く持って行ってやんねえと。
こら、あなた、そこで何をしているのです。
ああ、
誰もいないと思ったって？そんなわけありません。病院を完全に空にするはずがないでしょう。それに薬にラベルがないのも勝手にいじらせないためです。与えてはいけ。
People can't fiddle with them. People are going to use them even if they are not labeled. If I'm close to dying, I'm taking everything. Also, even not being colorblind, a lot of them look the same.
ダメです。与えてはいけない薬を飲ませていたかもしれないんですよ。
ごめんなさい。俺慌ててて。
お友達を心配する気持ちは立派ですが、薬は毒にもなるんですから、正しい知識を身につけなければ。まあこの場合はいたわりそうで正解ですが、あなた薬草に詳しいの？医療の道に興味が？
いや俺は。
Interesting. I mean, very proactive recruiting people.
あら、その帽子。
Oh.
魔法使いの見習いさんだったのね。
怪我人は一通り運び終わりました。
それは何よりです。
応援ありがとうございました。
I'm just. Why didn't they get any of the other witches? I mean, okay, maybe it's late. Maybe not a lot of witches are on this part of the town. They're all on the island. But I feel like they would. I hope at least if they saw the fire, they would be like, okay, let's help them out.
火も落ち着いてきたので、この場を任せても大丈夫でしょうか。弟子が心配で。
おいおい、どこ行くんだ。現場の片付けがまだ残ってるじゃねえか。
He does not.
魔法使いなんざパパッと魔法使っていつも楽してんだろう。こういう時には率先して働いてもらうにゃ。頼んだよ兄ちゃん。
そんなに楽ではないんですけどね。
知らざる者には分からんさ。気にせず言ってください。ここは私と弟子で。
ありがとうございます。
Only one apprentice?
楽でも簡単でもないさ。ちっとも。
Also, it's not your job. Just simple as that. Sure, you could help, and that is not a problem if asked nicely. It is different whenever life is in danger, being a little bit more blunt. Okay, fair enough. We are trying to rescue lives. We don't have time. I understand. But cleaning up, unless you ask in a better way, I don't need to, right? It's your tavern or whatever. You can all get together if you want to.
でなければみん
Not
な
part of my job.
悩んだり苦しんだりするものか。
息がしやすい。
よかった。
薬が効いたのかな。ありがとう、タータくん。
Why didn't you get the medicine before?
いや、俺こそ助けられたっていうか。魔法使いってすごいな。
魔法使いってすごいよね。
心配したんじゃぞ。夜になっても帰らんから。
ごめんじいちゃん。
知らせてくれてありがとうな、キーハリ。
いや、困った時はお互い様ですから。
Yeah, he would. You probably could count on him to keep a secret, right? You wouldn't need to remove his memories.
そうだ。俺この間うちで見た光のことを聞きたかったんですけど。
光
Excuse me? Oh no, 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 no. So either he convinced him by talking and be like, hey, you know, because this is important for Kifre. Don't tell them, like last time, don't tell them I need this. If you tell them I'm going to lose my connection, would be one of the ways. Second would be he's just gaslighting. He erased his memories and he's just saying, oh, what do you mean? I have no idea. Or third, he was like, I'm going all in. We are both going to forget about the flash of light. But then he would probably test the vial again. So it would turn into the flash of light again. Less likely. I would say the second part, he erased the memory of Grandpa and he's gaslighting him. I can see both of them came to an understanding and were like, let's play dumb. Because at this point, we don't really know how the memory erasing spell works. Can you target specific memories or not? That is going to be very important. That is why I believe both of them being erased is the least likely version. Because, again, he probably doesn't want to lose his vial. So he would then have the vial. He would not know about the flash of light. He would try the vial again. And it turns into the flash of light again. So, unlikely on that part.
やっぱいいです。
お主も無理をしすぎるからな。体に気をつけるんじゃぞ。
俺の思い違いだったのかも。もう一度自分で調べ直してみよう。あの強い光のこと。
Gaslighting 101.
船が出るぞ。
あ、先生、すみません、お待たせしました。
Especially because he could just ask Coco.
船が出ます。
No, 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 no. What do we have here? Signs, lots of signs, and a sigil. And this one, interesting. Now, I don't see a circle. No black circle. So it seems like a round object counts as a circle. Maybe if it's really round, it counts. There may also be like a tiny bit of black paint at the edge. I don't know. But this one, I assume, is wood, similar to the stone the other dude is doing, where you can just push in one part and it completes this magic casting seal.
タータくん、またね。
The whole time I'm assuming that he has a similar thing like, was it Rakugan? In the Apothecary Diaries, the one that sees everything as go pieces.
じゃあ僕らも帰ろう。
はい。
ココ！俺、ココのためにペンを作るよ。それで自分の魔法でこの川渡って届けに行くから。絶対。
楽しみにしてるね。
ずいぶん仲良くなったみたいじゃの。
あいつすごいんだ。きっともっとすごいやつになるよ。
お前もすごいお前になれるとも。
Okay. What does it mean? What do
ず
you
っ
mean?
と悪夢のせいで眠れなかったんだね。夢は対処が難しい。眠らせる魔法は禁止魔法だし、とにかく対策を。
Sleeping space are even, I mean, sleeping space I can understand, because on one hand you can use them for good, on the other you can use them for bad. Healing magic is a little bit, maybe it's D&D rules where you have like healing touch and drain touch or whatever. So they are like, whatever you can do as healing, you can reverse in. Oh. Yeah, you can use the reverse sign. And the healing would turn into damage. Okay. I see why. Yeah, I feel like healing magic would be very good. You could just have like a specific core in the witch organization, like a group that is allowed to use healing magic, similar to the witch Morales guys that can erase memories.
練ってみよう。すべての工夫は困難から生まれる。
ありがとうございます。でももう大丈夫な気がします。
無理してない？
はい。だって一つ希望が見えてきましたから。矢を逆さまに書いたら魔法の効果も反転する。それは。
Oh, I see. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you need to identify which signs you need to reverse. But I see your point.
禁止魔法も同じはず。あの絵本に書かれた魔法陣の矢を逆さまにすれば、お母さんを石にした魔法も反転できるかもしれない。心配したよ。熱はもういいの？よかった、よかったね。
贈り物はうまくいかなかったようですね。平和ボケしたとんがり帽子も愚か者ばかりではないと見える。悠長に構えてはいられません。我々もさらなる手を打たねば。
では次は君が行くのかい？禁止魔法の体現者である君が。
そのつもりです。弟子が死の庇護を離れる試験の時を。
Oh no.
見逃す手はないですから。
But Coco is not allowed at the moment, right? Hopefully. They also were saying, okay, so they were talking about the coins that linked the two vials. That didn't work out like they wanted to. And they were talking about Keyfrey, that he is not as weak as the other witches. The typical weakness because of peace and only war is going to breed stronger witches kind of idea. Okay, we've now have an idea. Reversing the sign is going to have a different effect, which I feel like we already knew somewhat. Because I believe one of the signs we saw reversed. I don't know which one it was. Okay. So we were mostly in the hospital following our boy, who's trying to pinpoint the medicine. Again, I don't know why he can't just be an apprentice witch. That should be totally fine. Nothing at the moment we have seen required you to have colored vision. Nothing. We have not interacted with magic ink. We have not interacted with anything colored or in the vein of coloring. So he should at least be able to go to Coco's level. That should be fine. Maybe later, who knows? I still believe his vision is going to be important for later. And either Keyfrey is gaslighting our boy, or they came to an agreement and they're both playing dumb, or they are both having no memories anymore. Grandpa and Keyfrey. But Coco should still remember the flash of light. So he could just ask Coco about it to reinforce that it did happen. I mean, it's not that important to know where the flash of light came from. However, he is very inquisitive. Maybe that is a quality you need to have. And I mean, we knew he would make the pen from whenever we started. We came into the shop the first time. It was clear he is going to make the pen. You can see the pen in the opening. It's just a question of time, I guess. Maybe in 2 episodes. I would assume in 2 episodes. More or less. After the test, he gets a new pen.